So this is the story of our trip to Europe. We took just a few bags and got on the plane, went to Philadelphia, and this is actually the backwards recording of our trip. So this is when we were in London and we went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum and also went to where the Beatles were. This is at the Sherlock Holmes Museum, and there's Mom looking at all the items there. It is not actually the actual place, but they have lots of items there that take you back to that. And it is actually, I think it's 99 Baker Street. I can't remember the name. This is Buckingham Palace and 10 Downing Street. And then um, this is the older parts of Westminster Abbey, which we did on our last day. This was a trip. That's Britain's oldest store. This was a trip we did in 2 weeks and went to 7 different countries. So on the last few days, we were able to go to London and see many of the major sites. So if you haven't been to Westminster Abbey, it's amazing. We stayed at a sort of an off-track kind of a place, and that's Mom talking to a neighbor about the dogs. Right across from this Earl of Essex place and right off the tube in the Islington area. We went to Wales, Cardiff, in order to see the Doctor Who items and the Doctor Who set and the where they filmed that. And of course, that was, I think, Wyatt's favorite place and Will Henry's favorite place to go. But it's an amazing city. It's one of these countries that has Wi-Fi everywhere, very high tech, but also has beautiful oceans and countryside, and they keep their language. This is on the set of Doctor Who, which if you don't like that series or you've not seen it, it's a very interesting series. The kids love it, and we like to watch it as well. And they were so excited because these were items from the Christmas special. There are items there as well that come from the original Doctor Who, so from I think it's about 50 years old, so they also were able to see that. This was, like I said, in Wales. It was a 2-hour drive not drive, but a train ride from London. And so we did that. It was actually New Year's Eve when we did it, so it was the last day of our trip. We're going backwards. And they uh, didn't mind doing that, going 2 hours one way and 2 hours back, and it was an interesting ride. And you can talk to Mom about her trip ride back. Um, as you can see, there's lots of interesting places and interesting kinds of, all the language of the Welsh language is on there as well. And this was, I think, in Ireland. We had gone to Ireland right before we went to Wales and did a ton in 2 days. This was actually going to an Irish restaurant and hearing authentic music and watching the dancers. And before that, we had just been on an all-day excursion across Ireland where we had seen lots of the sites, including a 1100s abbey from the 1100s, and there was a cemetery. We also were on this boat all day long, and we're seeing the Cliffs of Moher, as well as the Cliffs of Moher, and also we were able to see the lots of really cool old buildings and places in the countryside. and able to see lots of history. I think this is right in Dublin. It's one of the oldest buildings, one of the oldest cathedrals. We were not able to see some of the like Trinity at Trinity University and that kind of thing. We weren't able to get in there because it was, I think, either New Year's Day or something like that. We put that fencing club in there because Will Henry fences, and we were showing that. So Dublin is a really cool city um, with lots of history, and it's by the water. And we were very impressed with the size of Dublin and able to get across Ireland in just a few hours, and didn't quite understand that. We did the big bus tour that was showing that we were on the big bus tour, because that's one of the best ways to see a city is you can just kind of go around on the big bus and then know what you want to go back to. That was an Irish breakfast. This is in Scotland, and great music. We were only in Scotland, Edinburgh for just a day, but got to see the castle and some of the really cool shops that led up to the castle. This was at night. It was in the Christmas season, so looking at all the lights and the shopping. I think this was right as we were getting there. We went right up to where the castle area was. That's looking out from the castle onto the rest of Edinburgh. They call it the new area and the old area. Of course, the new area is 1800s. This is in the train station going into Edinburgh. The way we got around is from Newcastle. We took the train into Edinburgh, and then from Edinburgh we took a plane into Dublin, and then a plane into London. This is in Newcastle. We were in Newcastle for several days to visit family. And so in Newcastle, we spent Christmas with Mom's brother, Uncle George, and our cousins, her niece and family. There in Newcastle, we got to go to a soccer match or football match with Paul, our cousin, Mom's nephew. And this is there at the soccer match. So there's a lot of singing that goes on in this football match. He was afraid it was a little rowdy. That's Paul, Mom's nephew. And he just thought it would be a little rowdy, but it's rowdy only because they sing a lot. And so this is us having coffee, and we had sushi, and this is one of the historical buildings in Newcastle. They say that's the best example of Edwardian architecture anywhere in the world. Again, you can see that it's Christmas, but there is a lot of rain at this time of year. But great shops. This is called Fenwick, I think is how you say that. And they have a great Christmas display. This is my cousin Denise with Mom, and that's Christmas pudding, which my husband does not care for so much. And that's Will Henry playing the guitar with my Uncle George, Mom's brother. And this is at Denise's house. And we're doing crackers, of course. And that is Denise's grandson. And here we are kind of just hanging out, having our Christmas dinner. And that is Cassie and Sarah, Denise's daughters, Mom's nieces, and my cousins. There we are by the water, right in Newcastle, and also at a pub where we were. They had pool tables and such. This is when we first got to Newcastle. You can see the great buildings. And leaving Brussels. So we had gone to Brussels before that and had a really cool 3-story flat. This is the Grand Place in Brussels. And also, of course, French fries are very popular there. At the Grand Place in Brussels, there were these amazing lights that we got to see, and lots of amazing architecture in Brussels. We have to say that we were a little spooked in Brussels. It was very busy at night, and this was only about a month after the terrorist attacks in Paris, so that was a bit spooky, but it was okay. We felt safe most of the time. Here's some food there. I think this is where not me, but Scott and the kids, or Scott and Will Henry, tried some duck, and they had really great food. It was sort of a conglomeration of French food and other parts of Europe. These are some other examples of architecture in Brussels. Quite eclectic there. Can't say that I would recommend Brussels so much. We loved the place where we stayed. But the rest of it is pretty spread out and really not so unique that you would want to go again, but great food, and maybe go next time to Bruges, which is just outside of Brussels. But amazing architecture. It may have been because when we went, it was a time when it gets dark at 4 o'clock, and so your days are kind of short, and we didn't have a ton of time to get in Brussels. And we were also leaving at 4 o'clock the next morning to take the flight, I believe, into Newcastle. Showing a Roman wall there, which is really interesting to see that and to think about the history. So this is a German train. We had taken a train from Germany, Heidelberg, Germany, into Brussels. It was about a 4-hour train, very fast, very on time. These are at the Christkindlmarkt in Germany. So we were in Heidelberg, Germany, and this shows the Christkindlmarkt and the streets and the very historical area, and you can see these cobblestone roads and the kinds of food that you can have there. We got a bit lost. We got on the bus, but we went the wrong way, so we got to see the back roads of Germany. Here we are in Heidelberg, at the castle. This was Will Henry wanted to go to Germany since he's been studying German, so this was the place that we went. And you can see it's just amazing how ancient this is. And some of it is in ruins, but some, of course, is still standing, and they're taking care of it. And they have a restaurant in there. And of course, you can see out to the city. Heidelberg houses a university. There's a university there, so that may be why it's more attractive to out-of-town visitors. It's more of a university town. So that was the train going to Germany. We got there from Paris. What you just saw, and this food here is one of our favorite places that we went, which was an all-French restaurant. You can see from this menu, there was no English spoken here. And so Scott really tried his French to order food. It was just at the sort of at the steps of Notre Dame. Some other things. This is the Louvre. Yes, that's the Mona Lisa back there. And was that the Winged Venus? And just amazing art at the Louvre. And Champs-Élysées, can't say that. Arc de Triomphe. There's the Eiffel Tower. And a lot of this we were able to see. Again, we did the big bus tour. So you could see all of this and then go back to the areas that you wanted to go to. And there you go, some macarons. And here we go, Santa in Paris. There's my cheese I wanted to have. So it was great to just sort of sit out the patio and, see all of Paris. I had not been there before, and just experience that. So you can see there's Notre Dame in its finery. We did feel safe, did not feel like there was a problem, even though this was about a month after. This was December of 2015, and it was just, right after there had been terrorist attacks, but everyone felt very safe, and you could definitely say there was security more than usual. But again, there are the highlights of Paris. This is waiting for the Eurostar. So we had just gotten into London the day before, stayed at a hostel, and that is waiting in the St. Pancras station, and beautiful station. Here we are getting ready to embark on our amazing Europe trip. We had an amazing time. Took very little luggage, just two sort of duffel bag things, and did laundry while we were there. We also, got the kinds of clothes that you could wash in your rooms, and that made it really easy to get on the trains and the planes. And the automobiles that we took from places to places. And it was really cool to be there at Christmas as well, because you probably saw this in a sort of a different way. So would highly recommend going at that time as well. So this is Big Ben, Parliament, the Tower of London, Big Ben, some of the iconic symbols of London, the Eye of London. There's the Globe Theatre. There's Tower Bridge. And here we are, getting ready to start on the wonderful trip to Europe.